Dobry den,
Stravete.
and welcome back to our little Bulgarian adventure.
As we mentioned last week, it was hot. This week, it's been even hotter.
Yes, definitely. I think we've had record highs this week for June.
Yeah, 38 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, it's just
that was
ridiculous.
We did have a little tiny bit of rain, but it was a little tiny bit of rain and it did absolutely nothing.
Except save me watering one unit.
Didn't even cool it down.
No.
So, oh well. And I think it's like this now till September. So.
Oh, please not quite like this.
We'll get used to it.
Yeah. Well, it'll be much better when we finally get our pool up.
It's coming, it's coming. Yeah, so what have we done this week?
We started the week really well, having a lovely night out with friends.
Yeah.
Played a few games.
We did.
Had some nibbles, it was lovely. Thank you very much, Andy and Linda.
Yeah. Then on Saturday we had a day kind of shopping in Schumann.
Yeah. Not really shopping, was it? It was just looking around at odds and ends. We went to check out a new, almost like a hypermarket, wasn't it?
Well, a cash and carry, but supermarket, but yeah.
Yeah, that Andy had told us about. Yeah. We had a good look round there.
Got salt vinegar crisps, so I'm not telling anybody where it is because they're mine.
But yes, they did an interesting range of spices, and it was quite a good value for money, I thought.
Yeah. So did that little bit of shopping and headed back home, and then we kind of hunkered down for the heat.
Yes. Oh, you have done some bits of work this week.
Yes, we've been doing the early morning star things, and work has been progressing. This is what we've been up to this week. We've got a couple of jobs to do this week, and we're going to start off moving the rubble from there down here to start levelling this area out. There's not enough rubble to level the whole area, so I'm going to have to find some from somewhere else, maybe order some gravel in. But I'm going to be working in conjunction here and the summer kitchen. So first things first, get this bit sorted, move the rubble down. You don't need to see me raking rubble, it's not that exciting, but just to let you know what we're doing, this is it. Well, that took a bit of raking, shoveling and wheelbarrowing, but we now have as much filler as I think we're going to need for this area. It's pretty flat now. It's not been flattened out properly because we haven't marked out the area properly, but all the piles up the back have gone. They've all been incorporated into that big pile of rubble and hardcore, so we'll have a solid base to put our concrete on. The next thing to do is mark out the area that we actually need to concrete, get the formers in place and get all the prep done ready for the concrete pouring. Well, it's yet another early morning. I'm getting used to these slowly. You can see here we've got the stakes in place. We've got the yellow tape here which indicates the height we want our formwork to go to. Now, Max and I levelled them up to a degree yesterday with some string and a spirit level, but last night when it was dark I came out with a laser level and did the final little bits of adjustment so that I know the levels are correct. Now this one is a good 35 centimetres off of the ground. The one at the back you can see maybe 5. So that gives you an indication of the slope we're working with. I've piled the rubble up into the middle so that it's out of the way of where the form is going. Now, I've not done a circular form before. I'm not used to any of this sort of stuff really. What I'm planning on doing is cutting the former length out of OSB, trying to cut so that it follows the contour of the earth, put it in place, attach it to the stakes, and then on the outside put some of this rubble on the outside just to stop any kind of leaking through when we do the concreting. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, I don't know if it's going to work, but that's what I'm going to try and do. So first thing I've got to do, cut and fix these formers. Well, we've had another delivery of materials as well. This is 2 tons of gravel. We've had it dumped out the front where we usually have stuff dumped. And in the background you could possibly just about make out 2 rebar meshes which are going to go into that circular area for the pool. Now, to get the gravel here meant we had to do some work to prepare this area. Now, the sand that was out the front, Max and I have moved in here into what we call the airlock. And you can also see the blocks that we've had delivered by the side. They're for building our summer kitchen. So our next job is to move the blocks from here in the airlock where we put them yesterday up to the summer kitchen. Now that Max and I have brought up the blocks, we can start laying them out to see exactly where the bits of our summer kitchen are going. Now, the main work surface is going to be behind me. There's going to be a bit coming along the side, and we're going to carry the wall on a little bit further. So this is the area we're looking at. What I'm going to do is lay the blocks out in the design we think it's going to be, so we can look at it, walk around it and see if it's how we want it. So this is the layout of this end of our kitchen. I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but we've laid the blocks out. The plan is that we have a worktop that runs along here and along here. So you'll be able to work doing stuff here. In the middle here is where the sink's going to be. So we've got water there already. We'll run the water along. We'll run power in as well. So we've got electricity, we've got water. We'll have a sink which will drain into a bucket that we can then use for water in the garden, so that water won't be wasted. I've got to go 4 blocks high before I get on to doing the work surface, but that's a secondary job. The next thing for me to do is to start laying block. Now, again, something I've never done before, and I'm going to put it off till next week. So we'll turn our attention now to where the pool's going. Well, I was trialling my idea with offcuts of OSB, and the idea fell at the first, as they say. The amount of bend I need to put into the OSB has broken the OSB, so there's no point me cutting them to size and then trying to make them fit, because I know they won't bend like I need them to. But we have come up with a different idea. Let me show you. Now, we came up with an idea involving mud brick, building a kind of almost a supporting wall up to the level that we want it to go to, then we can concrete on the inside. The mud brick can stay there because we'll be landscaping this into a slope. Good in theory, but quite a few downsides. First of all, it's not overly rigid with their fixing together. Secondly, getting them level is also an issue because we want a level pad and we can't have this uneven. So we've now come up with an idea involving rebar mesh, mud brick, OSB, plastic, wire. It's a bit of a long-winded process, but we think we can create effectively a cage in the area surrounded by plastic and mud brick to support the concrete, which will give us an area we can then put the concrete into, which will last long enough for the concrete to set up and give us the area we need. Will it work? Don't know. Hopefully, but I'm not going to do that today. You'll have to come see what we're doing next week to see if it worked or not. Hopefully this time next week we'll have a concrete pad. Let's see. So I'm hoping that next week is when all of the stuff you can see results from actually happens. It's been a bit frustrating this week, but we have got the materials, we have worked out what we think is a plan that will work.
Yes.
It's moving along, but very, very slowly.
And that's purely down to the heat.
It is, yeah.
With the heat has come flies, the perennial hatred of summer, flies. So we'll be experimenting in the next week or two with
some sort of fly trap.
Different fly traps to see what we can do.
But we'll let you know once we've got a result and let you know what works.
The other thing you haven't done this week yet, but you're about to, is the walnuts.
Yes. If you've been pickling along with us with the walnuts, there is a stage that's happening today, but it's basically I've got to air the walnuts for 2 days and then put them in the jars. But I didn't want to show airing the walnuts now and then putting in the jars in a week's time because that's too long to air them for. So I'm going to put those 2 stages together. So next week we'll be airing them and pickling them.
Yeah. We basically need to air and dry for just air dry for 2 or 3 days before you put them in the jars.
And also watching me put them on a tray. That's all it will be basically. So that'll be a very short bit of video.
Yeah, but we'll do, and we've decided we're going to use 2 different sauces. We'll tell you about those next week.
Yeah, that's the excitement of walnut pickling. Something else we've done is we've taken a quick trip around the garden. We've had some requests to see how stuff's doing. So this is just a little bit of progress on stuff, fruit, ripening, that sort of thing. What's happening outside? Well, we're back in the garden. I'll be showing you some stuff here and in the woodland, just to show you how stuff is growing and progressing. We're obviously at the orange stage in our garden at the moment. We've got marigolds out, but we've also got these daylilies. You can see some in the background as well, so we get quite a lot of those. We've also got some tomatoes coming on the tomato plants. There's a couple up there. If we go down, there's a few more at the bottom, so they're coming along. Obviously not red yet, but at least they are forming. And now that the poppies are gone, our rhubarb's getting some light. It also appears to be getting a bit of attention from possibly caterpillars, and we'll have to keep an eye on that, but that is beginning to come along nicely now. Our apples are also beginning to get some colour on our little tree inside our garden. The tree in the dog compound has got a lot more apples on it, although quite a lot have fallen off of that. And the apple tree at the end of the woodland is also doing well, so it's nice to see a bit of colour coming into those. This is our potato raised bed. Now most of the vegetation is dying down, which usually is an indication it's time to dig up the potatoes, so that will probably be happening next week and we'll see exactly what we've got out of here. I don't know if this is a good sign or not. I'll have to ask the gardener. And just at the entrance to the woodland, this is our peach tree. You can see there's quite a few peaches on it. They're beginning to get a bit of colour on them as well, so hopefully we'll get a bit of a harvest of peaches this year. Now right in the middle of the pathway on the way out of the back of the barn up to the campsite and fire area, this plum tree is loaded down with fruit, so much so that it's blocking the pathway now. As I pan up you can see just how much fruit is on this tree, and just how ripe it's getting now. Now we're coming towards the end of June, but for me this seems a bit early. If you know better, let me know. But we should have plenty of jam this year. Every plum tree in our woodland is absolutely loaded with plums. It's quite stunning just how many are on here. This is just one branch, all within easy reach, so easy to harvest. Yeah, absolutely loaded. And here's the walnut tree from the lower levels working our way up. Now if you look closely, you can see there's a lot of walnuts this year. We've had a couple of disappointing years for walnut production, but this tree, when you bear in mind, has got to be 60, 70 feet high. It's absolutely chock-a-block with walnuts. And finally, this is the apple tree at the end of our woodland area. We thought it was dead a few years ago, but we gave it a prune, give it a last chance, and you can possibly see it also is loaded with apples. So new lease of life, or our last hurrah, we don't know, but either way it's doing well. So that's just a little bit of an update on what's happening outside with the stuff that's growing.
Yes, it does seem we're going to have a bumper year for fruit this year.
Oh yes.
Quite a few of the plums are totally eatable at the moment.
Oh yeah. And there are trees out there that we didn't think produced plums that are producing plums. So
I think because they maybe got a bit more light this year, some of them, that's probably what.
More light and a nicer spring. It was
Yeah.
very wet last year, so that may have had an effect.
Yeah, so, but it's all looking very
Oh yeah.
plentiful out there.
It is. Lynn's been keeping on top of the stripping as well, so
Yeah,
it's not become a jungle.
early morning trimming.
Yeah. Our neighbours love us. If we had some, but they're not here in the week, so.
Yeah, we do try to do it when they're not around.
Yeah. Only fair.
Yes, it was the summer solstice yesterday.
Yeah, the longest day of the year.
The evenings will now be starting to draw in.
Yes, but talking of the sun, it brings us on to July morning, the 1st of July, which is tradition out here. We haven't yet decided what we're doing.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something interesting, exciting, let us know.
Yeah.
We might tag along.
We're definitely going to do something, especially if temperatures keep up at the rate they have been.
Yeah.
Staying up all night and watching the sun come up
Or even getting up early. I'm getting used to that now.
on the beach might be quite pleasant.
Yeah, the wind whistling through our hair.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, if you have any plans, let us know.
Yeah. I think that's probably about it for us this week.
Yes, I think you're fully up to date with us. So until next week, it's time for us to say,
Stay safe.
be well.
Doskaro.
Doskoro.